Daria, a successful but tired woman from the hustle and bustle of the city, was sitting at her large desk in the office high above the noisy streets of Megapolis. Her workday was filled with meetings, calls, and endless tasks. She felt like a hamster on a wheel, running endlessly but never reaching true satisfaction. Every day felt like a repetition of the last, and her heart longed for change. One evening, when the office had emptied and the city was enveloped in a soft twilight, Daria, checking her mail, noticed a strange letter. The envelope had no stamp or return address, just her name, written in calligraphic handwriting. With curiosity and a hint of caution, she opened the envelope. Inside was a short message. Dear Daria, if you feel like you've lost your way, find the Forest of Wonders. There, you will find answers to all your questions and the peace you so crave. The journey will begin at the old oak tree on the outskirts of the city. There, answers to all your questions and the peace you crave are waiting for you. The journey will begin at the old oak tree on the outskirts of the city. Be ready for an incredible journey. Sincerely, your friend. Daria read the letter several times, not believing her eyes. Who could have sent her such a message? Why her and why now? And what is this Forest of Wonders? Questions were popping up one after another, but deep down, she felt that this message was not a coincidence. And what is this Forest of Wonders? Questions kept popping up one after another, but deep down, she felt that this message was not a coincidence. The next day, despite her busy schedule, Daria couldn't stop thinking about the mysterious letter. Her thoughts kept drifting back to the mysterious house. Finally, deciding to trust her inner voice, she took a day off and set out on her quest. Her heart raced. As she left the city limits, she saw a huge old oak standing alone on a hill. Its branches, like mighty arms, reached for the sky, and around it reigned silence and peace. As she got closer, Daria noticed an ancient chest at the foot of the oak. Inside, she found a map covered in strange symbols and signs, and a small lamp that seemed to glow from within. At that moment, she realized that there was no turning back, and this was her chance to find answers to all her questions. Following the map, Daria began her journey. Trees whispered, flowers glowed. The trees whispered, flowers glowed, and magic filled the air. Each step freed her soul from routine. Daria met an old man in ancient clothes. Each step she took led to new discoveries, and she felt her soul gradually being freed from the weight of everyday routine. Soon, Daria encountered a strange old man dressed in clothes reminiscent of ancient times. He was sitting on a stone by the path, looking at her with kind inner eyes. "Did you come?" he said. "Quiet. Welcome to the Forest of Wonders. Here you will find everything you seek, but for that, you will have to look within yourself and see what is hidden deep in your heart." Daria felt her heart filled with hope. A journey to herself awaited her, full of discoveries and overcoming inner barriers. With that thought, she took her first step along the path leading deeper into the Forest of Wonders, leaving all doubts and fears behind. Daria walked along the path surrounded by a dense forest, and with each step, her heart filled with excitement and anticipation. The forest she encountered was not just a collection of trees and plants. It was a living, breathing world, full of magic and mysteries. The trees were tall and mighty, with branches reaching for the sky as if they were trying to touch the stars. Their trunks were covered in moss, and it seemed that ancient secrets were hidden in their bark. The first thing that struck Daria was the soft, muted light that filled the entire forest. This light came not from the sun, but from the trees and plants themselves. The leaves glowed with a soft green light. The flowers emitted soft, welcoming reflections, and the occasional butterflies that flickered looked like miniature fireflies. In the air, there was a scent of freshness and flowers, and each breath filled her lungs with coolness and tranquility. As Daria moved deeper into the forest, she began to notice that every tree, every little bush, and even the stones were part of the great symphony of nature. The branches of the trees gently whispered to each other, creating a melody. On her path, they were part of the great symphony of nature. The branches of the trees gently whispered to each other, creating a melody. It sounded like the whisper of distant stars. This whisper was so enchanting. It seemed he could tell stories of long-forgotten times and lands. Suddenly, an unusual creature appeared before her. It was a small, fluffy creature with huge, expressive eyes and ears that resembled flower petals. The little creature nuzzled Daria's hand. She felt a warm wave, as if the forest embraced her. At that moment, she felt a warm wave passing through her entire body, as if the forest itself was welcoming her and embracing her. The creature, as it turned out, was not just a resident of the forest, but its guide. He led Daria along narrow paths that seemed to disappear and reappear beneath her feet. Soon they came to a huge tree that looked even more majestic and ancient than all the others. Its bark was covered in mysterious symbols that glowed with a soft blue light. The old man that Daria had met earlier was waiting for her at the foot of this tree. His eyes shone with wisdom and tranquility. "Welcome," he said, smiling. "This is the heart of the Forest of Wonders." Smiling, "This is the heart of the Forest of Wonders. Here, you will find not only answers to your questions, but also the opportunity to look within yourself." Daria stepped closer and slowly observed a small pond with crystal clear water gently at the base of the tree. The water was so clear that she could see every pebble at the bottom. The old man gestured for her to sit by the pond and look into its depths. Daria, following his advice, carefully knelt down. She looked into the water. The water began to shimmer with different colors, and images started to appear in its depths. She saw her past, fears, failures, and dreams, once distant. Every moment was meaningful. Her heart ached as she saw her fears and failures, but then she also saw her dreams, those that once seemed so distant and unattainable. These images reminded her that every moment of her life was important and meaningful, and that even mistakes and defeats had led her to this magical place. Then the old man spoke. "Daria, this forest is a reflection of your soul, those that once seemed so distant and unattainable." These images reminded her that every moment of her life was important and meaningful, and that even mistakes and failures had led her to this magical place. Then the old man said, "Daria, this forest is a reflection of your soul. Every tree, every creature here is a part of you to find the answers you seek. You need to accept everything that has been and is in your life and find harmony within yourself." The enchanted forest opened up endless possibilities for Arya's self-development and self-discovery. She rose, feeling light and confident, ready to continue her magical journey. Knowing that there are more amazing discoveries and new encounters ahead, even more amazing discoveries and new encounters await her. As Daria moved along the path, she felt the forest's mystery. The trees whispered and the flowers glowed. It was becoming more and more mysterious and enigmatic. The trees seemed to be whispering to each other, and the flowers glowed brighter and brighter, lighting her way with a soft, shimmering light. Soon, she heard the sound of water splashing somewhere ahead, illuminating her path with a soft, shimmering light. Soon, she heard the sound of water splashing somewhere ahead. It was a sound of complete calm and tranquility. It drew her in like a magnet. Finally, she emerged into a clearing and saw a lake before her, smooth as a mirror. It was surrounded by tall, slender willows that leaned over the water, as if guarding its tranquility. The lake looked so clear and transparent that Daria could see every detail of the bottom, covered with small pebbles and algae that gently swayed in the rhythm of the light waves. Daria slowly approached the lake and sat down on the shore. The water was remarkably calm, its surface reflecting the sky and the surrounding forest. It was as if it were a mirrored copy of the world. As Daria gazed into the reflection, she saw not just her face, but something more. She saw her emotions, her thoughts, and memories that seemed to come alive in this transparent surface. At first, she saw her childhood, carefree games in the yard, laughter with friends, and the adoration of her parents. These memories brought a warm smile to her face, and she felt her heart fill with joy. But then her reflection changed, and she saw the more difficult moments, disappointments, losses, and fears. Daria froze, watching these scenes, but she didn't look away. She understood that all of this was a part of her, and that she couldn't escape from these memories. At that moment, the lake sparkled brighter, and a figure appeared before her. It was herself, but younger, full of energy and dreams. Young Daria looked at her with a slight smile and said, "Do you remember how brave we were? We believed in the impossible and dreamed of great things. Why did we let our fears overshadow our dreams?" Daria, feeling a surge of emotions, realized the forgotten dreams. This was a part of her that had always been with her, but one that she had hidden deep inside. The lake showed her that she could reclaim that part of herself if she allowed herself to dream and believe again. Then the reflection changed again, and she saw her current life. The office, endless meetings, documents, and the constant rush. She saw how she was losing herself in the routine and daily worries. At that moment, another figure rose from the water, an old man she had met earlier in the forest. He stood on the water as if it was solid ground, and his eyes, as before, shone with wisdom. "Daria, your life is not just work and duties, it's also joy and dreams. You can always find yourself, your true desires and goals. It's also joy, dreams, and aspirations. The lake shows you that you can always return to yourself, to your true desires and goals. Accept your past and present, and you will find a path to a future filled with light and harmony." As Daria gazed into the lake, she realized it was time to let go of everything that had been holding her back. She stood up, picked up a small pebble, and threw it into the water. A stone hit the lake, making ripples, waves that spread across the entire lake, breaking her reflection and creating new patterns on the water. With each ripple, Daria felt her heart lighten, freeing itself from the weight of the past. With every circle Daria felt her heart lighten, freeing itself from the burden of the past. She realized that even if the past left traces, it also gave her strength and wisdom. Now she was ready to accept herself as she is, with all her mistakes and victories. She stood by the mirror-like lake, feeling how the world around her is filled with new colors and sounds, understanding that new discoveries and encounters await her ahead. And most importantly, the real magic is within herself. Filled with new insights, Daria continued her journey. New discoveries and encounters await her, and most importantly, the real magic is within herself. Filled with new discoveries, Daria continued her journey. The forest was getting denser, and the path she was walking on gradually led her to low stone walls, overgrown with moss and grapevines. Beyond the walls, the roofs of old houses and towers reaching into the sky were visible. It was an abandoned town that looked like it had been hastily left behind. The abandoned streets were empty, and only the wind played with the fallen leaves, creating a melody of nostalgia. Daria entered the city through the old gates, which creaked at her touch. She felt the weight of time and nostalgia settling over her. The city held memories, thriving times. Daria walked deserted streets, seeing houses once full of joy, when life thrived here and joy filled every corner. As Daria walked through the deserted streets, she saw houses that were once full of laughter and happiness. In one of the windows, she noticed an old toy forgotten on the windowsill. In another, a dusty piano on whose keys melodies of joy had once been played. In one of the windows, she noticed an old toy forgotten on the windowsill. In another, a dusty piano on whose keys melodies of joy had once been played. Her heart ached with sadness, and she felt that this abandoned city was a metaphor for her own life, where joy and laughter were forgotten under the weight of routine worries and disappointments. Soon, she stumbled upon a square, in the center of which stood a fountain of routine worries and disappointments. Soon, she stumbled upon a square, in the center of which stood a fountain. The water in it had long dried up, and now there were only dry leaves and dust. The fountain was adorned with sculptures of children playing and laughing, but their faces seemed sad and empty to her. Daria realized her heart, once joyful, now burdened, once full of joy and light, but over time mired in worries and losses. The old man she had met earlier appeared beside her again. He approached her and, seeing her sadness, said, "This city is a reflection of your inner world. It shows you what happens when you forget about your dreams and joys. But remember, everything can be restored. Your joy hasn't died. She's just sleeping." Daria looked around and realized that she had a chance to bring this city back. To bring it back to life and joy. She approached the fountain and, leaning over, touched its stone edge. At that moment, her hand glowed with a soft golden light that began to slowly spread across the entire fountain. The water began to flow again, filling the square with the sound of a bubbling stream. The sculptures of the children came to life, their faces lit up with smiles, and Daria felt her heart fill with warmth and light. Inspired by this miracle, she continued her travels through the city, touching each house, every street, with each of her touches. The buildings regained their colors, the windows filled with light, and the air was filled with laughter and joy. Her hands glowed as if she were the bearer of magic itself, and every corner of the city began to come to life. As she walked through the streets, she encountered images from her youth, friends with whom she once laughed and dreamed. Her favorite places where she spent time, and the moments when she truly felt happy. She realized that these memories had always been a part of her, and that she could reclaim them herself, joy and inspiration. Finally, Daria reached Main Square, where celebrations and gatherings used to take place. Here she felt that her work was complete. The city came to life again, filled with light and the sounds of life. And her heart was filled with joy and satisfaction from the fact that she was able to bring this forgotten corner back to life. The old man appeared again next to him and smiling said, "You have restored your city, but most importantly, you have restored yourself. Now you know that joy and happiness have always been within you, and that you can reclaim them at any moment." Daria stood in the square, confident. She knew joy was always with her, a part of her being, her heart filled with energy. Now she knew that wherever she was, the light of joy would always be with her, because it was a part of her very being. She felt her heart filling with new strength and confidence. The city, which was once abandoned and forgotten, now shone, reflecting the light of her inner world. She knew that her journey through the Forest of Wonders helped her find answers to many questions, and that new challenges and discoveries awaited her ahead, but now she was ready for anything. The old man, who had become her guide in this magical world, approached her and said, "You've come a long way, Daria. You have restored your inner world and found harmony. Now, it's time to go home and apply everything you've learned." Daria nodded, feeling that she was ready to return. She thanked the old man for his wise advice and support, and then followed him to the city gates. The path they were walking on was illuminated by a soft light, and the forest seemed to bid her farewell, whispering words of goodbye and blessing. When they reached the old oak tree, which was the beginning of her journey, the old man stopped and said, "This oak is the gateway between worlds. Passing through it, you will return to your world, but with a new understanding and light within you. Remember, you can always come back here if you need to find harmony again. By passing through it, you will return to your world, but with a new understanding and light within you. Remember, you can always come back here if you need to find harmony again." Daria smiled, grateful for everything, what she managed to learn and experience. She stepped forward, feeling her body fill with warmth and light. Everything around her spun, and for a moment she found herself in a void where there was neither time nor space. And there she was again, standing at the edge of the city by the old oak. Later, dawn came and the first rays of the sun illuminated her face. She felt the world around her come to life, and her heart overflowing with joy and energy. Her journey in the Forest of Wonders had ended, but a new, equally important one began, her return to real life with new strength and understanding. Daria returned home. Her life began to change. She no longer felt trapped by routine and endless responsibilities. Now she knew how to find joy in each day, how to believe in her dreams and strive to make them a reality. The inner world she had restored in the Forest of Wonders became her source of strength and inspiration. Now, every time she felt her strength waning, she remembered her journey through the forest, wonders, the old man, and the wise words he spoke to her. And she knew that light and joy would always be with her because they were a part of her.